Happy day students. Welcome to class 10 English. Today we will study poem 2 from your textbook, The First Flight. Please take out your textbook, The First Flight. Poem 2, Fire and Ice by Robert Frost. About the poet. So who is the poet of this poem? Robert Frost. This is the second poem we are going to read. First poem we have already read, Dust of Snow. That was also by Robert Frost. This Fire and Ice is also by Robert Frost. So all of you know that he was a very famous American poet. He was born on March 26th in 1874 in San Francisco, and he was the most celebrated poet. Introduction of the poem. So students, Fire and Ice is a short poem consisting of 2 stanzas dealing with 2 possibilities. Possibilities of what? Destruction of the world. The 2 different stanzas deal with 2 different schools of thought. Schools of thought about what? Schools of thought about the destruction of the world. One with fire and the other with ice. However, the poet has used the 2 elements. What are these 2 elements? Fire and ice, both literally and symbolically. Stanza 1. Just we'll read first the lines. Some say the world will end in fire. Some say in ice. From what I have tasted of desire, I hold with those who favor fire. So in this stanza, students, Robert Frost, the poet, states that there are 2 schools of thought holding contrary opinions. Contrary means 2 opposite opinions about how the world would meet its end. Okay, how the world will meet its end. Some people are of the view that it would end. It would end because of intense heat as there is increasing global warming. In other words, the deep heat or fire deep in the earth will lead to natural calamities. What can be the natural calamities? Yes, correct, like volcanoes, earthquakes and tsunamis, which will one day end the earth. The sun may emit scorching rays and the world may burn down. But there are others who believe. What others believe now? Others believe that the sun might lose its heat, leaving the world frozen to end. However, from his own experience, whose own experience? The poet's own experience, the poet subscribes to the opinion of those who think that the world would end in fire. Here students, just pay attention. This fire and ice have not been used only literally. They also have a symbolic significance. Fire stands for fiery and violent passions like anger, lust, that is desire, cruelty. Ice, on the other hand, is symbolic of cold feelings like jealousy, hatred, indifference, and self-centeredness. Though these 2 elements, what are these 2 elements? Fire and ice are contrary in nature. They both possess enormous destructive power. Stanza 2. But if it had to perish twice, I think I know enough of hate to say that for destruction ice is also great and would suffice. So let's pay attention here in second stanza, students. In this stanza, the poet continues his idea that the world will perish. Perish means destroy, damage, or anything, come to an end. But the force of destruction is completely in contrast to the force of the first stanza. Okay, although the poet is of the opinion that the global warming may lead to the destruction of the world. Okay, destruction of the world. He is not unaware of the lack of the emotional warmth in the world. He thinks that people have lost affection, love, kindness, consideration, and sympathy. The emotions considered to be warm. These emotions have been replaced by cold emotions. Cold emotions of what, students? Hatred and jealousy. Okay, so the poet feels that it can be a potential cause of the destruction of the world. Which can have the potential power? The ice. The end of the poem suggests that it doesn't matter which is stronger, fire or ice. Okay, both carry the destructive elements which may end the world. Now let's have a look at the poetic devices. We have alliteration. Alliteration means what, students? You already know. We have read in the last poem Dust of Snow also. Alliteration is the occurrence of the same sound at the beginning of adjacent or closely connected words. Why do we use alliteration? It is used to create a musical effect and enhances the pleasure of reading a literary work. So, in this poem, we have some say. So, the sir sound is there. Repetition. World will. Were sound is there. Okay, next line. I hold with those who favor fire. Favor, fire, fur sound. So, that's why this is alliteration. Second, students, the poet has used assonance. What is assonance? Assonance is a close repetition of same vowel sound within a group of words. Like we have, it is repeatedly used in a line. For example, if it. So which sound is repeated here? Which vowel sound? A. If it. So that's why this is assonance. Next, students, the poet has used anaphora. What is anaphora? Anaphora is a poetic device in which a word or a group of words is used repeatedly at the beginning of the sentence. Just see in these lines. Some say the world will end in fire, some say in ice. So first line, it is starting by some say. Second line is also starting by some say. So it's a repetition of the words or a group of words. Okay, so that's why it is, we can call it as anaphora. Next, the most important thing, the most important poetic device the poet had used in this poem is symbolism. Now, symbolism is the use of symbols to signify ideas and qualities by giving them symbolic meanings that are different from their literal meaning or literal sense, you can say. Generally, it is an object representing another to give an entirely different meaning that is deeper and more significant. Now see, in this poem, the poet has used fire. Fire is used as a symbol of emotions of anger, lust, greed, and violence. On the contrary, the poet has used ice, which is a symbolic of hatred, indifference, apathy, and lack of consideration. So both fire and ice, the poet, these symbol he has used, and he said that both has a potential to destroy the earth. Next, students, the poet has used imagery. Imagery in poetry refers to mental picture or image. You can imagine, you can visualize the poem. Okay, students. So pictures or images which are evoked in the reader's minds through words in a literary work. And what happened? Imagery makes a poem more appealing. Okay, you can get involved into the poem. So in this poem, fire and ice and evoke the picture of the world engulfed in fire and covered with deadly ice. Last but not the least, the poet has used rhyme scheme. What is a rhyme scheme? In the first stanza, students, we have A, B, A, A. Now, already in the last poem, I taught you how to find out the rhyme scheme. So, same way you have to check here also the last letter of each, last word of each line. Like in the stanza 1, we have, first we have fire, second we have ice, third we have desire, and fourth we have fire again. So, fire, then desire and fire. Again, three are matching or rhyming with each other. So that's why this is A. And second one is B. Why we are calling it B? Because it is ice. It is not rhyming with fire, desire or fire. So that's why it is A. Second stanza, students, if you will see in the book, in the first line, students, we have last word twice. Second line we have hate. Third line we have ice. So ice and twice are rhyming. Okay. Then fourth line we have great. So great and hate are rhyming. So it becomes BB. Then last line we have suffice. That is rhyming is again with twice. So that's why it is A. Hope you have understood it. Just mark it in your textbook. Now message. What does this poem convey? What message does this poem convey? See students, the poem conveys the message that if human emotions like anger, lust, jealousy, greed, hatred and indifference keep rising, the world will sooner or later move towards what? Move towards a total destruction. Both the fiery and cold temperaments have the power to destroy the world, and such temperaments must be controlled for the world to survive. So the poet here indirectly emphasizes the need of sustaining what? Sustaining what, students? Sustaining human thoughts and feelings for the survival of the world. The poem contains a warning. Warning for whom? Warning for you, warning for us, warning for me, everybody. That is for mankind to be alert and aware of the danger in letting loose any such emotions. Thank you.